to Menopause Morph, your time to change. We're here to help you thrive through your menopause, bringing you experts in many fields to help you from perimenopause to menopause and beyond to become the strong, vibrant woman nature intended you to be. Hosted by Pauline McCarthy of the Pearls of Pauline, pearls of wisdom, compassion, and joy.
Hello, welcome to this week's Menopause Morph, your time to change. Today we have an incredible lady. Her name is Dhumavati Ananda. Dhumavati has a bachelor's in journalism and foreign languages. She has a master's degree in computer science and work science sociology. She began practicing yoga in 1989 and became an international certified yoga teacher in 1993 and tantra teacher in 1994. Then she has been teaching yoga and tantra in Romania, Denmark, France, India, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Italy, Germany, Russia, Portugal, Serbia, Bosnia, Sweden, and Iceland. And that's why we met, or where we met, yes. She is also the founder of the Tantra for Women courses and Shakti groups, and has been lecturing for more than 20 years on Tantra for Women and Shakti groups in over 45 cities in 14 countries. She later created the international training workshop for Shakti group coordinators for women from all over the world who wish to become certified Tantra for Women teachers. She has written a number of yoga and tantra articles in specialised journals in Romania, USA and Sweden, including the Om Yoga Om magazine, which is in Sweden, which Om Yoga Om, she told me Om in Swedish means about, so Om Yoga Om means about yoga Om. Or it could be Om Yoga About, if you want to be backwards. So she writes about in that magazine. She is also the author of 2 books. The first one is Women and the Astral Bodies. It's an insight into karmic astrology. And the second one is Sacred Sexuality, the erotic amorous level and the spiritual evolution. I have to buy that one, don't I? So, Dhumavati Ananda's dream is to assist in women's awakening all over the world and build an international sisterhood of enlightened, ecstatic, spiritualized women who regain their innate divine power. Wow. So welcome, Dhumavati Ananda.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to meet you again, even if it's via Skype.
Via Skype. And I have to explain to people that you weren't born with the name Dhumavati Ananda. You were born with the name Georgiana Danit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. But through your yoga teaching, your guru gave you this name, Dhumavati Ananda.
Exactly.
Could you tell us what it means?
So in the tantric yoga system, there is we can call it a chapter, if you wish, about feminine great cosmic powers. And there are 10, and one of the 10 great cosmic powers is called Dhumavati. She is the great cosmic power of divine blissfulness, divine void, blissful void. So Ananda means also bliss or ecstasy. So when you receive a spiritual name for your spiritual master, usually it shows you the path which is the shortest path for you to enlightenment in this life. So for me, it's the path of ecstasy through divine void.
Very nice. Very nice. I don't have a spiritual name yet. Not yet. You never know. So we met in Reykjavik. It must have been about a month ago now, at this workshop was 12 feminine archetypes, which I found fascinating. And I was telling our listeners about it a few weeks ago. So I'm very inspired that you're here. And to talk, because during the lecture that Dhumavati Ananda was telling us in this lecture, she mentioned that through tantric exercises or tantric teachings, you can actually stop menopause happening. So this is really incredible. But first, could you explain to us what about the menstrual cycle from the view of the tantric teachings?
I would be very happy to do that. So in the tantric system, there is a lot of explanation about how we functioned as human beings from all points of view, physical point of view, emotional, mental, intellectual, and spiritual. And with the help of Tantra, you actually learned to discover yourself, to discover the mechanisms which lie behind everything we do in our daily life, so we can become aware, conscious, and evolve. One of the aspects in Tantra is also how we functioned even biologically. And there is a lot of importance given to the ability to maintain the energy inside of our structure, not to lose energy, so we can maintain our health, so we can maintain our youthfulness as long as possible, and with the help of that energy to be able to develop our potential as much as possible. One of these energies that we are speaking about in Tantra is the sexual energy. And sexual energy is manifested while making love with somebody, but the sexual energy is also manifested through, for example, the menstruation. So menstruation is a biological process that we experience as women every month. We know how it works, at least from the physical point of view, the biological point of view. But it has something more to it. We received a certain sexual education in school or in family, but there is one link missing there. And this link, the missing link, Tantra comes and explains about it. So the menstrual cycle, it's actually the manifestation of the sexual energy being somehow materialized in the physical body. You can lose it every month through the menstruation cycle and the bleedings, or you can maintain the sexual energy inside of your structure. So with Tantra and the tantric exercises that you can practice, you can actually stop the bleedings during the menstruation. Because the bleeding, no matter from what part of your body, it's not something which is natural. So I used to give this example to the women coming to my Tantra classes. If you'll bleed from your nose for 3 days in a row, you'll probably run to a doctor telling that you're about to die. So hemorrhage is not something which is natural. Bleeding is not something which is natural, no matter from which body part it comes out. So with the tantric exercises, you learn how to manage your energies, and this will also have an effect on the physical structure, even on your biological functions. So you will have the menstruation, because the eggs from the ovaries, they will have to go out through the fallopian tubes into your uterus, but you will not have anymore the bleedings. And that in time will lead to the fact that your body will regenerate so much that you will never ever enter into menopause. So menopause is just the side effect or the consequence of you as a biological structure losing a lot of energy every month. If you make a statistics, we lose more than 5 liters of blood through menstruation. Wow. It's almost the entire amount of blood in our body if you
take it over a lifetime. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm curious about, of course, I'm sure it would take many, many years of practicing Tantra to be able to do that. But can you explain?
Not necessarily.
No. Can you explain to us how you would do that?
There are Hatha yoga exercises and Tantra exercises that if you practice them every day, they will re-educate your body. Thinking also of energies, that through these exercises, instead of allowing your energies to just flow down and out, you will simply re-educate your body to lift up the energies. So not allow this loss of energy, which also materializes or translates into loss of blood every month. And I know I have friends who have stopped the bleeding, so they don't bleed anymore. They went to a doctor who took a lot of tests, and because this is unusual, this is not something that we learn in school or in family, and they told her that she is perfectly healthy. So her genital system and her body, it's perfectly healthy.
So, like, if a woman was doing these tantric exercises and it stopped her menstruation, but she still would be able to get pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes. So the menstruation cycle, it continues, but you don't have the bleedings. So you don't have that loss of blood
so
and
the
energy.
body is sort of reabsorbing it into itself.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it is doing that through the lymph system. For example, the lymph system, if you think of where it is located, it's through the entire body, but the most of it, it's around the genital area. And if you ask somebody, especially doctors, they will not be able to tell you exactly why. The most part of the lymph system is around the genital area. But the lymph system is able to reabsorb these chemical substances. We can think, I also have this as an example. If you get a bruise, there is blood under your skin. You don't have to cut it out to take it out. The lymph system will just reabsorb it. So it will go back into the body, it will heal. It's the same. And the most amount of lymph vessels are around the genital area.
This is very interesting. So, but in my experience, there's two different types of yoga. I mean, of course, there's many different types, but I'm just making it small here. There is like what I would call westernized yoga, where it's just the exercises. And we have here in my town in Acronis, there was a place, and they do this hot yoga, which anyway, we'll talk about that later maybe. And about 2 years ago now, I had a small heart attack. So my doctor said I had to do some exercise. And I had done a few yoga classes previously, but that teacher had left our town, Acronis. And when she did the yoga, she didn't go very much into spirituality, but she told us in the beginning that yoga is not just a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing as well. And she always ended with namaste, and she always told us that we should respect what we're doing, and it's not just a physical exercise. So when I went to this one across the road, I said to her, look, I had this heart attack 3 months ago. I'm wanting to do some exercise. I want to go into your beginner's class. Oh yeah, come Thursday night, 7:00, whatever time it was. So when I came, there was about 20 ladies, and they were most of them were in their 20s, early 30s, very slim, and I've got a cuddly figure, and I'm getting a bit worried here, like when they go in. And when she started, it was, there was no calmness, there was no peace. It was like, okay, let's do this pose, and they were jumping up. To me, it was gymnastics. And I was trying my best to do it, but it was so not even painful, exhausting, And from my experience before, that yoga, you should stay in one pose, but they were jumping about from this pose to that pose, and eventually I just knelt down and I started to cry, quietly, because I didn't want to disturb the class. And I just thought, this is crazy. This is not yoga. This is like a gymnastics class, And I left, and I wrote a note for the teacher, and I said, no, there's been some misunderstanding here. I thought I was coming for yoga, but this is not yoga. And you said this was a beginner's class, and like this was for people that were used to going to the gym and lifting weights and things like that, And, it was really a horrible experience for me. Do you know what I mean? It was traumatic, actually, because I had been really looking forward to this, and throughout my life I've always been a very spiritual person, and I knew that there was a spiritual side to yoga, and so this really freaked me out. And so then I was very lucky that I had met Magdalena, because we were talking about, Magdalena is the teacher of the Natha Yoga Center in Reykjavik, and she was teaching what she was going to teach at our retreat last year, or was it this year? Menopausal memory. Anyway, whenever we had the retreat, which sadly got cancelled at the last minute because the teacher had a problem, an illness in her family. Anywho, so I knew Magdalena, and although her yoga studio is in Reykjavik, so it's not really convenient for me, but she was advertising this yoga, what do you call it, weekend, the tantric, what do you call it? The 12. I can't count. The 12 archetypes of women. And
the weekend workshop.
Yes, and it just sounded so interesting to me. And I really believe that, I've been focusing on nourishing my body physically, but I have been neglecting my spiritual side because I've just been so busy, which really is no excuse, is it? No. So I went to that weekend, and I have to thank you very much because I'm about to cry. It was really what I needed. It was, I think, even though we know that we're spiritual beings, often some of us tend to forget to feed our spiritual body, which is really, really important, because otherwise we're lopsided, aren't we? Like too much yang and not enough yin, So I have to thank you for that. And I would encourage any listeners that are listening, if you ever get a chance to go to any of Dhumavati Ananda's lectures or classes or anything, that you should go, because it would really change your life.
Thank you. I'm very happy that you mentioned this with different types of yoga. My intention is not to offend anybody, but out of my own experience, I know that people teaching yoga can teach traditional yoga where you have physical postures, breathing, detox, relaxation, meditations, mental concentration, the spiritual dimension also. Or they teach postures taken out of hatha yoga and they make it almost like aerobics. No, they don't speak about energy, they don't speak about evolution, they don't speak about transformation. It's just physical exercise. And that is really not yoga. So yoga as a system, it's a huge, very complex, complete system of personal development. And it teaches you how you function as a human being with all the aspects, the physical body, the emotional part, the intellectual, mental part, and the spiritual dimension. So if you practice yoga and it's only physical training, that's not really yoga.
Yes. Well, since your workshop, I've been going once a week to Magdalena's class, which actually Magdalena's husband is holding this one. He does the beginner's class. And he talks for between half an hour to 1 hour on the spiritual aspect first. And then the other lady from Romania, Georgiana?
Gilberta,
you are Georgiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They both begin with a G, so I was nearly there. Yeah, Gilberta. She's an amazing lady. So then she does the poses. She teaches us the poses. And more important for me, I think, is that she teaches us I wouldn't call them poses, but the exercises that you do before you begin the poses.
Yes, the warming up exercises.
And in both of these yoga classes that I've been to, these were never taught, which I think is quite sad, because like if you were going to the gym to do exercises, they will give you, your trainer will give you warm-up exercises.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So why are the yoga teachers not giving these warm-up yoga exercises? Anyway, this is a big discussion. Oh, one thing that I should mention is I was asking the teacher there in Reykjavik about hot yoga, and I was saying, like, what is this hot yoga? Because they're teaching it across the road here. And I said, the only thing that I can think of is that in India, it's really hot, so they're trying to make the conditions of like it would be in India. And he says, you're exactly right. He said there was a teacher who went to America, and he was teaching, his yoga classes, and he liked it to be hot because he was from India, and he turned the heating up. And then he had a name for it. And then other people started teaching that, and after some time, he realized that they were teaching his technique, and he started saying to them, okay, if you're teaching that, you have to charge me money for it. And so they decided to change the name of it and call it hot yoga. And now hot yoga is getting taught all over the world.
Yes.
But it's really to do that. I think the best way to get hot yoga is just go to India and practice yoga in India.
No comments.
But I mean, if it makes
No comments.
if it makes people happy, but what I would recommend to the listeners is, if you're really interested in yoga, that you should check out, if you can go to something that is teaching you both aspects of it, because like we all understand that we have this yin and yang energies, and if you're only getting taught the yang and not the yin, then you are getting unbalanced, just like I was getting unbalanced with my spirituality compared to my physicality. So within life, if you look at our menopausal hormones, when they're unbalanced, that's when we get all these symptoms. So we can see that very clearly, but we don't see more clearly when we're out of balance spiritually, because we maybe don't realize that the consequences are coming from that. Maybe we're just thinking, oh, the people around me are so stupid, or my finances are getting bad, but it's really because we are not balanced, and then that causes an imbalance in our whole life. Don't you think so? Yeah.
Exactly. And there are now more and more books, for example, with let's say the metaphysical aspect of diseases, or the spiritual cause for diseases. So they almost proved that physical diseases are actually having a spiritual cause, yes, an unbalance at the spiritual level. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's true.
Okay, we should get back to the menopause questions.
Yes.
So one of the questions I have here is how can we harmonize our hormonal cycle? Did we go into that?
We can do it quite easily by practicing, for example, Hatha Yoga, which is one of the systems. Because if you say that you practice yoga, actually you don't say anything. You need to have a prefix to yoga. So you say Hatha Yoga or Tantra Yoga. So just to describe what type of yoga. So physical postures and breathing control techniques, they help that a lot, because we have the physical body, but we have also a subtle structure. And in the subtle structure, there is this chakra system, or the center of force. There are 7 main centers of force, and by practicing different types of yoga, actually you make the energies becoming balanced again in your structure. So physical postures from Hatha Yoga, breathing control techniques, meditation also helps. And if you have a certain self-discipline, and if you practice this every day, you will notice after a while, for example, that your bleeding will be less as days, but also less as an amount. And after a few months, or maybe a little bit longer than 1 year or 2 years, you'll stop bleeding all in all. And you'll notice that the premenstrual symptoms disappear. Your whole hormonal endocrine system get back into balance. So the estrogen and the progesterone will be now balanced. They will not be an overflow of estrogen or overflow of progesterone that makes you having some symptoms.
And would people have to practice every day?
That's the key to success.
And how long would they, how many minutes or hours would they have to do this every day to achieve those results?
At least 45 minutes. Let's say a minimum of 45 minutes. And then there is no universal recipe for it, because we are different, we are unique as individuals. So my body and the emotional baggage that I have is not identical with your body and your emotional luggage. So it's individual, but just to say as an amount, 45 minutes per day will give results quite soon.
Wonderful. So that would also alleviate the problems related to menopause, not just the menstruation?
If you manage to diminish a lot the bleedings during the menstruation, and even to stop it all in all, you'll never enter menopause. So menopause is just if you have menopause already, yes, it alleviates a lot of the problems.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Yes.
Somebody like me, I'm actually 2 years post-menopausal. Menopause, as people hopefully know is that it means 1 year without menstruation. So I have been maybe 2.5 years now, but I still do have symptoms when I'm stressed or when I eat the wrong things.
Yes, these are the factors that influences our menstruation or menopause, what we eat and our emotional balance.
Yeah.
And for example, in women, stress usually collects, so to say, in the pelvic area. And when you are very stressed, most women probably will relate to that. When you are very stressed, you will have a painful menstruation. When you are happy and balanced, you'll probably not have pain during the menstruation. So pain during menstruation is actually the side effect of stress.
Okay.
And also food which contains a lot of proteins, or it's food with hot spices, it will influence the menstruation. You'll bleed more. So one thing that you can do is, for example, women who still have menstruation, approximately 1 week before they know they will have their menstruation, cut down proteins, especially animal proteins, and don't eat chocolate and hot spices. Just cooked food, if possible, potatoes, carrots, not so much bread, no dairies, so no milk, no cheese, dairy. So you'll see that during the menstruation, the bleedings will get smaller as an amount and even shorter as a period.
Wow, so you've given us a lot of information there. That's amazing. We're coming near the end of our time. Are there any last words that you would like to give our listeners?
I will encourage all women to practice traditional yoga because it will balance a lot, not only the menstruation or the symptoms from the menopause, but also the emotional, the mental level, and you'll get back in touch with your soul.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And there's something I would like to ask your permission. When I did this workshop with you, we were talking about the 12 types. Would it be okay with you if I talk a little bit about this to my listeners in subsequent interviews?
Yes, of course.
Okay, lovely. So I'll break it down in maybe 1 week, because usually what I do is I interview an expert and then I give a solo talk, and then 1 week after the other, and so that I can maybe talk about one archetype each week.
It sounds very good.
Lovely. And I need to apologize to the listeners because we missed a week. It's pretty weird. We had a technical hitch with iTunes, so my last podcast came 1 week later, but it came on Stitcher Radio and all the other ones. So iTunes missed 1 week, but then last week I can't remember now. It was like so super crazy. Yeah, they've got this building work in my house. It's like, my husband and my sons are redoing the rooms down the stairs, and no, they just decided to work on 3 floors, and it's been impossible to move. So it was very difficult to do anything. So sorry, my darlings, that I missed a week. So I'll try to keep on track from now on. And thank you, Dhumavati Ananda, for coming. It's been amazing. And
thank you for having me.
One of the important things is, if people want to get in contact with you, how can they contact you?
There is a web page which is called ecstaticwomanhood.net. And there you have all the contact information. Okay. Facebook, LinkedIn, email address.
Yes. Okay. I think ecstaticwomanhood.net is easier to write than Dhumavati Ananda. Yeah, I'm getting good at this, saying this name. Yeah. And then you're also on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Dhumavati Ananda. But as she said, ecstaticwomanhood.net is easier. And if you go there, you'll find all the information you can about that. And do you have any courses or anything coming up soon that people might be able to go to?
Not this semester, because I'm running a yoga school here in Sweden, and we have almost the same layout as a normal school. So we have the spring semester, summer holiday, autumn semester. So during autumn, for sure, I will have. But right now we are coming close to the end of it. So from September, definitely there will be courses or these weekend workshops.
Mm-hmm. And are you planning to travel to any other countries to give talks or seminars or anything?
Yes, definitely. So Italy will be one of the countries, Iceland again, somewhere at the end of September, beginning of October. So I will be
I'll see you
coming
again
back
then. Yeah.
in Iceland.
If you can put up with me, I was a bit disruptive in your class, wasn't it?
No. I like it. I like it because I really, I'm not a very big fan of monologues. So dialogues is much better. Interactions.
I was asking a lot of questions, and then there was one day I brought along a princess crown to make everybody a princess. We had a laugh, wasn't it? It was
Yes, and we have the photos on Facebook, so you can see us with a princess crowns.
Wonderful. Okay, my lovely. So thank you very much, and
Thank you.
See you all next week. Bye.
Yes. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Menopause Morph, your time to change. If you've enjoyed the program, be sure to subscribe to the next one and please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help us spread the message about thriving through the menopause. To get a free ebook, more menopausal resources, and to connect with Pauline, please visit www.menopausemorph.com.